Hello people and welcome to another Carcassonne analysis video. Today we will be taking a look at a game I had in the Carcassonne Champions League on my final round of the group stage. This game was played against a strong Japanese player Shud, who at the time was rated just below 700 ELO, which is the threshold for a master in board game arena. So Shud gets to be the starting player with rather not so lucrative tile as his first tile with a straight road. He grabs a 2-point road as he should. We take a vacant city and meeple it. Shud continues his road towards my castle. We get a very nice shielded Dorito tile, which would also neatly fit into here, but that would free up Red's road and it would endanger my castle to a potential attack with a divider tile. Whereas now, if Red gets a divider tile and wants to attack my castle, they will do so at a risk of getting both of their meeples trapped versus one of my meeples. And obviously it will be a great trade for me if I get two of my opponent's meeples trapped so early in the game. Therefore, they do not attack my city, but they will try to block it instead. Now with a curve, we don't have many great uses for it. We could go here and start harassing Red's city, benefiting from the fact that if Red gets a city cap with a field, they likely want to complete their plan and try blocking my castle completely. And so they would be taking 4 points from this castle instead of finishing their previous one. And if that happens, then his 1-point city is in a vulnerable spot because it can be harassed from both sides. But starting to block so early in the game is something that I have tried to refrain from. And instead I usually just want to grab points and start features of my own. And that is exactly why we start a ring road. Red doesn't have too many options, they continue their own road. And now we have a rather interesting tile in hand. First of all, because it is the second divider, there will be no more dividers remaining in the game after this one, which means that when you are building a large city or a ruin, your opponent will not have a chance to get such an impactful tile as a divider and get an easy connection. So here we really only have two possible moves that we should make. We can take 4 points like this, or we can take 4 points like this, which I think is way better. Taking 4 points like this allows us to get a triangle and pre-complete our castle, whilst not leaving any additional vacant city caps for my opponent to grab. Taking 4 points like this is doable, but I think it is way worse, just because we would be leaving a vacant city cap for our opponent to grab, or for him to get a triangle and make a good use out of it. Also, even if we would get a chance to save our castle from being blocked after that move, we would have to do that with a city plus road tile. And because we would need a starting tile here, it would mean that we would willingly add at least 2 points to my opponent's road, whereas if we take 4 points like this, it is not possible for my opponent to benefit from my castle more than 1 point, because only a triple city with a road goes here. Therefore, we take the 4 points like this. My opponent grabs a juicy monastery. We don't have that much of a great use for a straight road. We could potentially start our own road here, but there are lots of downsides to that. Firstly, it would surround my opponent's monastery and it would then need only 1 tile to be finished. Secondly, my city can get blocked at any moment, and my road could then be turned to join to Red's road, which would leave 2 of my meeples stuck instead of only 1. That's why now I think it is a viable option to just spend a move on blocking. And as a result of that, we get sort of kind of lucky, because our opponent draws the quad city. They have no other legal moves except for adding this quad city to our city, adding 2 points, and actually saving our castle. There is a chance that Red would have used the quad city on our castle anyway, even without us harassing his small castle, just so that he can create a few attacking platforms to the city and possibly on their next turn attack the city, and also to guarantee that they get their road meeple back at some point. Now with a crossroad we could take 2 points here, but it would not be such a good move at all, because it adds 1 point to Red's monastery, so actually the move would be only +1 point, and also it leaves an easy road end for our opponent to grab 2 curves and finish their road. Therefore, we will continue our own road and also secure our castle from any possible attacks. The rotation of the crossroad is also important. We cannot turn it like this, because that would leave an empty road end for our opponent to grab with a road end that he could not use here. And now we can also use all large city tiles and triangles on both sides of our city. We can use field tiles here and road tiles here. Red gets his meeple back. And just like so, we are immediately able to take advantage of this road end with a road triangle. We will also meeple this road. Firstly, because we have a large number of meeples in hand, and secondly, we want to be able to use as many tiles effectively as we can, and this move now allows us to use road ends effectively, because we can just finish the road and also not run the risk that our opponent gets a road end, gets an easy 3 points, and creates an attacking platform to our city. Red wisely starts a field. We take some quick points. And now, since our castle is looking very dangerous, Red will have to start blocking it. Fortunately for us, we immediately get a dagger that we need, and we create a massive threat of actually finishing this castle, which I'd say would almost be game winning already. We also meeple the field, because it's going to be a rather large feature. Red is forced to try and join our city. If he decided to turn the triangle to the left, our city would be very much live and very much a large threat, whereas now he doesn't need to worry about the castle being finished, and he can just comfortably wait for a triple city with a road, not even necessarily to connect to our city, but just to take his road meeple back and then maybe only later on connect to the city. It's also important to note that now our 2-point road here is effectively frozen, because we cannot finish the road unless we get a city tile. Because if we finish the road with, say, a field crossroad, then that creates red a chance to attack the city with a second meeple and possibly overrun the whole city, which would be disastrous for me. Even though there is now a vacant city cap here, I am not so drawn into taking it, because 2 out of the 3 daggers are already gone, and the castle would therefore be very easily blocked. Therefore, we just create a platform to harass Red's road, and also to possibly attack the field with a second meeple. Red adds 1 point to their monastery. And now this is exactly what I'm talking about. We cannot use this crossroad where we actually want to use it, which is here. Instead, we will now have to use it on our ring road, which is not particularly great, because ideally we would like to use a regular curve or some other curve to finish this road, because crossroads are far more valuable than regular curves. So we finish our ring road and take additional 2 points. As a small plus, we do create a blocking platform for Red's monastery. Red meeples another monastery next to our road. Now we have even fewer tiles that we can use for our road. We would specifically need to wait for a starting tile to place anything here, because like I said, we have to make this move with a city tile. Therefore, we just start blocking Red's monastery. They add 2 points to their side of the ruin. We take 4 quick points. And they take the only vacant city on the board. And we are now left with a rather uncomfortable tile, because there are no safe spots to start a new castle from. We could possibly go here and use this tile for blocking, but it's a shielded tile, so ideally we would like to complete the blocks with something else. Also, I am not a huge fan of the situation with my road at the top, and that's why, instead of being overly patient and waiting for a starting tile, we are going to attack this spot immediately by taking the extender here and meepling it. Ideally, we would immediately get any kind of triple city or a triangle and place it here and guarantee that if we get a triple city with a road, then we can connect all of this stuff and get it all for ourselves. Well, that doesn't happen, as red gets a juicy triple city for blocking purposes. Now we are kind of stranded with 2 meeples waiting for a starting tile. There is one positive side to this, and that is that we can now be sure that this rather juicy 9-point ruin, which can still grow to be a 12 or 11-point ruin, it's gonna be ours at the end of the game, and it's going to provide us a decent amount of points. We go ahead and start a new city in a spot where it creates many threats. Firstly, it creates the threat of red's monastery getting blocked completely, and secondly, it creates a threat of us grabbing a triple city and placing it here, possibly later trapping 2 of red's meeples completely. Red gets a quad crossroad. During the game I actually thought that there is only one place where red will put this, and it's here to make a semi-save on his monastery, but instead they go over here, which was very surprising to me, because it's not like this monastery is in such a great shape, because I need to find the starting tile to begin with so that this monastery would ever have a chance of completion. And now they leave their second monastery completely without protection from the incoming block. So I don't think this was a great move at all. I would say that it is actually a clear mistake even. It does benefit us though, because we get a filled triangle and we are able to block red's monastery completely. And as you can see, his next move is a curve, which would have been the tile to finish their monastery and get a meeple back, or even meeple a potential 5-point road had the quad road been over here. Now they instead do get a 4-point compensation, 3 for the road and 1 for the monastery. We finish our small castle and start another one, and also create further threat of blocking these 2 meeples. That threat of blocking is unfortunately removed as red finishes their 6-point city. We do get the starting tile and we will happily place it here. Red gets a crossroad and uses it to save their road, and also to make my 1-point city slightly vulnerable. We could now finish this small city here and just take our meeple back and 3 points. But instead, I wanted to have several threats. Therefore, we are going to start focusing on finishing our second city at the top. And we do it from this side, so that it will be as difficult as possible for my opponent to attack this city. Because at the moment there is only one tube divider left, or if he decides to use an extender or a triple city to attack this feature, then he will have to sacrifice the points from his own ruin, and the connection will not be a threat at all, because both red's ruin and my ruin would only be 1 point apart from each other. Red grabs 2 points. Now, seeing that we have a triple city with a field in our hand, we don't have a particularly great way of using it, and I actually saw only one possible spot to place this tile in so that it will benefit me in any way. And that place is over here, denying red from placing another farmer on the field. Red now gets a triple city with a road that they have been waiting for to get this road back, but instead they do a very powerful move, recognizing that my city at the top is a large threat. Because if I finish it, it's going to be 12 points and a meeple back for me. Also knowing that there are still 2 triple cities remaining in the deck, it is totally justifiable to postpone the finishing of red's road and instead add this triple city to my castle. Now there is only one tile that can separate my castle from red's ruin, and there is also one tile that red can use to join my castle, getting 3 points for himself. But the connection is not a vital thing. More important here was just to try and at least delay the completion of my castle. We get a triangle with a road. Seeing that there are still plenty of curves and crossroads remaining, we will take another feature, place the triangle here and take the road. Red gets his meeple back. We also get our own meeple back. Not many things red can do with this curve. He can add 1 point to his monastery. Another move worth considering is to add the curve here, drop a farmer, and then try creating a loop to try and discourage me a bit from joining to this 15-point field. But at the moment he is only 2 points behind, and he has an extra meeple, so they just decide to add 1 point to their monastery. We do get the final remaining Duke divider, which would keep our chances alive of finishing this castle. But on the other hand, we are now +1 and we have an opportunity to take 6 guaranteed points right now. If we decide to separate our large castle from red's ruin, there is a chance that red will get a city piece with a field and will be able to connect to our castle. And that would render our move completely useless and to have only done more harm than good for us. Instead, I decided that I'm just going to keep my city at the top as a ruin. And I'm going to take 6 guaranteed points on the right. But now this allows a great move for the red. With the dagger, he is able to place it next to my castle and grab the field. And now there is a major threat that red will complete a loop over here and strengthen his position on the field from 1 meeple to 2. We are now in a bit of a hurry to get a meeple of our own down to this other field. And we of course would like to do that by finishing a castle. Now usually, when you see two city caps side by side like this, and you have a triangle in hand, your first instinct should be to go here. But the thing is, there are 3 more triangles remaining after this one, and 1 triple city. But there are also 7 city caps. Although finishing this castle with a triangle would be maybe slightly safer, I don't think that it would give us a tempo farmer. So instead, what we are going to do, firstly, we have recognized that there is only 1 city cap remaining with a field on the right side. With that in mind, we can possibly render this second vacant city cap completely useless to red. We can also have 7 tiles instead of 3 to finish our own castle and drop a farmer. And to do that, we go over here. It is a slightly risky plan, as our opponent can drop any tile with a field right next to the castle, as they do. But we still have 1 extender, 1 city cap and 2 field triangles that will fit into this square. Meanwhile, we get a great monastery tile, and we will take that for 7 immediate points. There is not a large number of tiles that fit here, especially when we already need the same tiles over here. But a 7-point monastery is always a 7-point monastery. And besides, we don't really need meeples to all that many places. Red takes 2 points and creates an attacking platform to our city at the top. He could have taken 3 points here as well, but then of course the plan of making a loop here wouldn't work anymore. We get rather fortunate here and grab the final city cap with the field on the right side. And as our plan was, we have now rendered this empty city cap almost completely useless to our opponent. Still having the same plan in mind, should takes 2 points here instead of 3 points over here. And they also create another potential city onto their field. Seeing that we have now successfully completed our castle, we have 2 meeples in hand, and this other field is looking quite juicy. We are going to attack this other field. Red adds 1 point to the monastery, and although there are still 3 crossroads remaining, they decide to not meeple this road because they want to have the possibility to add yet another meeple on the field and still have 1 meeple in hand. Here I gave a rather long thought of what I should do with this tile. We could take 4 points over here. We could take 3 points over here and crush the plan of making a loop, or we could just make the logical move, end our road, finish our opponent's monastery and grab a new monastery. And this is what I decided to do, because if I had taken 4 points over here, There were still 3 straight lines remaining, which could easily be used to bring another red farmer on the field from here, whilst getting a meeple back from the monastery and leaving my meeple stranded on the road. Red gets one of the straight lines, and given that there are still 4 curves remaining, he has great chances to get to the field with yet another meeple and grab this 6-point road at the same time. Now we could use this triangle to surround our monastery, but yet again it is a shielded tile, so preferably we always use shielded tiles on our castles. Also, we have to keep in mind that the extender is still in the deck and red can use it to connect themselves to our city. Therefore, we go over here and create a blocking platform. Now, of course, red could try connecting to our city from the top, but if he uses the final dagger to make that move, they lose out on points from this field, from this city, and also they have another use for a curve over here to get their meeple on the farm. And if they use some other city tile at the top and try connecting from there, then it immediately creates a platform for blocking the connection. Red takes 7 points, 4 for the castle and 3 on the field. We continue to enlarge our ruin. This does create an attacking spot from the top, but there is only one single tile, being the extender, that goes there, and red already has an immediate use for it over here. Red brings his second farmer to the top field and meeples the road. We still have to prevent red's plans of making a loop over here, so that we can connect our farmer to the 15-point farm below. Red immediately finishes their road and also adds another potential castle to the field. Now with a straight road we have to complete the block over here, because our ruin is 12 points, whereas red's ruin is only 4, and red can no longer connect to our ruin from the top, because he used the final triangle when bringing his second farmer to the northern field. So there are no more triangles or triple cities remaining which he could use to join our ruin. Red grabs another 7 points. We can't, of course, deny ourselves from quick points either, so we take the 4 points over here. Red grabs a 5-point road, which is the most amount of points he can do with this straight line. And also there is a possibility that they can block our connection to their 15-point field. But given the amount of suitable tiles for us to connect, being 1 regular monastery and 2 regular curves, the block is not too likely to happen. We complete the connection to red's field, And we will also meeple this monastery for 5 points, because with the remaining tiles being the extender and 2 regular curves, there are no possible features that we would be able to take that would be more than this 5 points. Red connects me to their field and takes away 3 points from me. We can add 2 more points to our ruin, and red will take a 4-point road as their final move. We end up winning the game by 7 points. I'm not so sure if there was all that much red could have done differently, except for trying to save their monastery over here with the quad crossroad. Possibly they could have been a bit more bold with the idea of this loop joining all the fields together. I'm pretty sure they had several chances to add a curve over here and just keep waiting for a regular curve to finish the loop. But instead they figured that it would be more beneficial to first secure the northern field before trying to complete the loop. I think, yeah, that's exactly what they should have done. Be more aggressive with the idea that they had in the first place of connecting all the fields together and winning all the fields outright. I hope you enjoyed this analysis. Do let me know in the comments if you did, and we will see again with probably some more CCL content. Bye for now.